Let's talk about what's going on in Cambodia and Thailand because, according to Trump, he has declared peace here. Now, Trump has declared peace as the great peacemaker of our time, who's deserving of a grand ceremony of gold and streamers by the Norwegians and the Nobel Committee that resides there. But a lot of these conflicts in which he has brought life-changing, forever peace to, whereas he talks about, for example, Israel and Gaza, where he says he brought peace, and he says he succeeded in doing the things that nobody has done for 2,000 years. Mind you, people have been able to find ceasefires, not peace deals, but ceasefires before between the Palestinians and the Israelis. That is not something that is new. Finding an actual territorial settlement that you can get both sides to agree to would be the thing that nobody has achieved since, well, 1948, not 2,000 years. People exaggerate as this is a never-ending conflict. It's just the thing that your parents grew up with, and so therefore it's forever for you as well. Either way, that is something that he was able to get a ceasefire for, so it's probably the clearest example of some version of actual progress. But when it comes to the other areas that he's claimed victory on the issue of peace, for example, the case with the least bad backlash would probably be Armenia and Azerbaijan. Armenia and Azerbaijan are countries that he had meetings with to try to declare, hey, we are peaceful now. They're not going to fight each other despite the ethnic conflict and the territorial conflict. And he was very proud of that. And he made a deal that would even dedicate U.S. troops to the corridor so that Azerbaijan could access the enclave of Azerbaijanis behind Armenian territory, right? Trying to directly solve the issue. This would be the closest, I would say, Trump actually attempted to going in there and doing actual peacemaking. And after everything was agreed to, after the Azerbaijanis publicly agreed, and after the Armenians publicly agreed, the Azerbaijani government came out, and they're the one with the power disparity. They came out and said, we're not going to formally enter peace until the Armenians change their constitution. And so by Trump engaging in a lot of these high-pressure scenarios to get peace very quickly without building all of the foundation, that could lead to some cracks and some problems. I think the clearest example of this to date would be the Congo, somewhere he was claiming repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again as a great victory for peace and diplomacy in the name of Donald J. Trump, but is probably one of the most horrific examples of failure because it didn't just fail, it failed in a way where villages burnt and civilians got massacred. And not just a few or a couple dozen, we're talking hundreds of people. Where not only did M23's fighting with the government-backed militias continue, which might have been suspected from the fact that the M23 rebels didn't even take place in Donald Trump's negotiation. There's also the other ISIS-aligned terror groups that have targeted villagers across the country, massacring civilians. So at the same time that Donald Trump is saying that peace has descended upon the Congo is the same time that ISIS is engaging in new offensives, and the groups that he was supposed to negotiate a peace deal with, which was M23 and the government. That was the fighting that was supposed to be stopped, trying to get Rwanda to stop sponsoring the M23 rebels. As M23 and government rebels started fighting each other again, Rwanda was like, what are we supposed to do here? The Congo was like, what are we supposed to do there? And fighting essentially resumed. And so we're basically right back to where we were before, with Qatar trying to pick up the slack and negotiating with the M23 rebels, trying to find some modicum of progress. But we did not get peace in the Congo. And this high-pressure environment to get a deal done quickly did not allow them to get into the details of deal-making with the groups who are engaging in violence themselves, or including groups that are not sponsored by Rwanda, are not backed by the Congolese government, dealing with the threat of ISIS, which also destabilizes the situation. So that was the biggest example and most clear example of failure for Trump. We could, of course, talk about Ukraine, where he said he would find peace in 24 hours, and we're now 11 months on. We're going on to Thanksgiving, And we are now at a period where the war is probably more intense now than it has ever been, with more long-range drone and missile attacks than ever, and the Russians currently fighting street by street for the city of Pokrovsk, which they tried to capture last year, did not, but is now grinded forward for a year with no progress on negotiations. But it does not end there, folks. It does not end there. Another war that Trump said that he ended. Another war that Trump said that he had finally solved when nobody else had solved, when the nations of Southeast Asia had failed, when they failed in 2011, when ASEAN had failed, all these regional groupings. He had come in and negotiated between through Thailand and Cambodia, and their border dispute that goes back to 1905. Okay, this is an over 100-year-old border demarcation dispute where neither side recognizes the other side's borders, and both sides claim territory that the other side claims. And it happens to be in areas of extreme religious significance, i.e., there are temples in the disputed territory of religious significance to the Cambodians and of religious significance to the Thai people and of cultural significance to both peoples. So this is a conflict that dates back over 100 years. This is a conflict that sparked up almost a little over a decade ago in 2011. And so this is not the first wave of violence. But this is also a conflict that, depending upon the death of one soldier, could spark up at any time, considering that this conflict started with the death of a Thai soldier by a mine placed by the Cambodian armed forces, which then led to a Thai military response, which then led to a Cambodian military response, which then went back and forth until this ceasefire. And you want to know what broke down the ceasefire? A Thai soldier walking around got blown up by another mine, which the Thai government says was provided to the Cambodians by the Russians. They work with a lot of old Soviet gear. There's a huge power disparity and quality of equipment disparity between the I was about to say the Russians, about the Thai peoples and the Cambodian peoples. If you check out footage of the war, the best way to identify which side is which side is wearing a uniform. You know, if they have like plates, they're probably Thai. If they're shirtless, smoking, and wearing flip-flops, then they're probably Cambodian. That's just how the war has gone. And so there's an incentive to try to stop this war, because a power disparity can make one side think maybe they can win it, and then a spiral of quick, overwhelming violence might come out with them on top. So there is incentives to want to avoid this war reigniting. But after another mine blew up a Thai soldier, and the key issues that started this, the territory that has been disputed for over 100 years, the religious significance, the control around essentially one person in Cambodian politics, the nature of the authoritarian nature of Cambodian politics, the economic situation in both countries, rabid nationalism in both nations. There's a bunch of different factors that have to be addressed. The presence of UN peacekeepers to stop clashes between forces, deminers going through territory to remove mines that could possibly restart conflict. But high pressure, very quick, he's still as soon as possible, or we'll have repercussions. We'll tariff you here, we'll tariff you there. That did not lead to a stronger deal. It was haphazard, and a deal that is done haphazardly can be applied haphazardly or accepted haphazardly. And in this instance, if you're not dealing with any of the core issues that led to the war, then you cannot be surprised when the war reignites, because the issues that were being scratched that started the war are still itchy, still want to be scratched, still want to be dealt with. And if another mine blows up another Thai soldier, Can't be surprised with another artillery bombardment flies over the border. Mind you, like over 40 people died in these clashes. Like this is pretty bloody. You know, people are dying. And so if we're going to be talking about bringing peace in our time, let's make sure that these people's deaths are not being used for PR purposes so Donald Trump can have a shiny piece of metal around his neck. Okay.